Morning.
Morning, Jeff.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah, same here.
I've had better days and I've had much worse days.
Yeah, we'll take that. Some.
So, how's the weather down there?
It's getting hot this week. This will be
Ah,
the hottest week of the year so far. It's going to be mid 90s. I think the rest
ouch.
of the week. Whereas I think yesterday was the first or second time we actually hit 90. It's going to be well into the 90s now.
Wow.
Summer's here and the air conditioning bills are back. Good time.
Indeed, yeah. It's nice here actually. We're going to
Yeah.
be in the I think mid 70s today.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, lovely sun. So, um
Okay. Is this a new session?
no,
It's not. Okay.
no.
I lose track and because I know the numbers don't always coordinate. So
I have it written down. I have a, date book. I keep it written in. I
okay.
don't have it down here, so I can't tell you when it is, but it's not this week, I know.
Okay.
Two other classes were this week, but not yours.
Right. All right. Well, just let me know.
I will. Okay. I apologized for the noise in last week's video. I hadn't realized our house cleaners had come, and um,
Yeah.
I didn't realize how penetrating that
Yeah.
was.
It's okay. It didn't really throw me off or anything. I thought it strange that or interesting that your microphones picked up that much of a distance sound.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Too impressive.
Yeah. But no, it's okay. No problem.
So, how's your lengthening?
Um, Improving because in very large part because of the discussion we had as far as releasing to lengthen rather than using muscles or that kind of
Hmm.
thing. But that has led me to a related question
Good.
because as I tried in my limited time of practicing this week, as I did try and focus on that, trying to lengthen in by releasing wasn't as intuitive or successful for me as just releasing out and letting things lengthen. Lengthening in by releasing seemed, I know you talked about a rubber, sort of thinking of a rubber band effect kind of a thing, but I wanted to get a little bit more insight from you about that, lengthening in by releasing.
Yeah.
And a related problem is when I was trying to do that, I found my structure was kind of losing it a little bit sometimes as well.
Yeah. So that's that. Yeah. Okay. I'll talk about both of those. Um,
Okay.
lengthening in for whatever reason, everybody finds it more difficult than lengthening out.
Hmm.
Um, if one of the things is that when you get to the point where you can feel when you are lengthening out that the fascia and ligaments are releasing, then you really get that rubber band effect because they pull back from being lengthened out.
Right.
So the difficulty is when you're simply working at the level of intent and aware of the movement of the energy on the surface. um, it's a partial awareness. It's not the whole thing you eventually want to arrive at. Um, and so as we as you go more deeply into all of these practices, um, you want to gradually develop an awareness of the energy moving um, through those connective tissues. Because it's the movement of the connective tissues that actually allow the muscles to let go and move. So, um, I guess part of what I'm saying is that lengthening in is certainly more difficult to feel than lengthening out.
Right.
It's easier to feel that, and I blah blah. I have no I have no magic bullet to the lengthening in. Um, you really just have to try to allow yourself to have the sense of and the intent. By all means, if your mind intent is really well focused, then um, you will you can use that certainly to encourage the lengthening in. Um, and part of it is to feel it as the reverse of the lengthening out, because it is. If you can feel the release and the lengthening out,
Hmm.
the lengthening in is having the same awareness in the opposite direction. Easy for me to say.
Yeah, it's just like I said, intuitively lengthening and releasing kind of extends, not contracts. That's the bridge I'm having trouble
Yeah.
crossing.
So what you have to remember also is that lengthening out and lengthening in goes along with extend and bend,
Right,
twist in and twist out.
right.
So all of these things are working together and contributing to each other's effect.
That's a good point, actually. I was pretty much ignoring those other things this week while I was working on just the
Yeah.
lengthening.
Well,
Uh,
that's you can't I don't care how good your mind is.
right,
It's very hard to actually do three things at once
yeah.
consciously.
Mm.
I would be willing, well, just from observing you flow, most of the time you're doing bending and extending and twisting without, I
Yeah,
think, much conscious um,
right.
thinking about it. Um, so um, it's quite right that your conscious mind is more focused on the lengthening.
Right.
But being aware that it is moving in coordination with the others.
And when I've been doing the lengthen, I've this is another related question. I've mostly been kind of initiating it in the scapula.
Mm-hmm.
But do we our is our goal to kind of go all the way down the spine and involve?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is related to your other question. Um, if you are using the C curve, bend the bow and shoot the arrow, that will help you lengthen, and it will also help you maintain your the structure in your torso and the rest of your body.
Is that something that we should review? Because I'm not real clear on, since coming back with you, I've not actually had a class where we've done that. So it's way in my past right now still.
So yes, we definitely should review that. So
Okay.
and that um, and in thinking about that, that was one of the reasons why we did the Taoist spine stretch, because it
Hmm.
is preparation for doing the C curve.
Oh, okay.
When you're doing the C curve, it is similar, it is not the same.
Right.
So when you talk about the C curve, you are actually working from a midpoint of the spine rather than bottom to top.
Huh. Okay.
So in other words, when your arm is bending, your spine is bending
But from that midpoint.
from that midpoint. And
Huh.
when your arm is extending, your spine is straightening from that midpoint.
Huh. Okay.
The interesting thing is that um, you are using, there are related to the spine in the front and the back of the spine, there are really virtually huge ligaments called the um, anterior and posterior um, longitudinal ligaments.
Okay.
And they function to help move the spine. One of the relationships back to the Taoist spine stretch is that when you do the C curve, you are not collapsing the spine. You're trying to open spaces between all the vertebrae in back, just as you do with the first movement of the Taoist spine stretch. And when
Uh-huh.
you open and straighten, you're trying to open spaces between the vertebrae in the front, the anterior part of the spine, without losing the ones you open on the posterior side.
Huh.
This this opens and encourages the flow of the energy through the spine, which then connects through the scapula to the arms and down through the perineum and the qua into the legs.
Hmm. Okay.
There are three I'll say things. That's probably not quite the right word, but there are three parts of the body that can function effectively as Bruce puts it, as the leader of the band. In other words, you can focus on one of these and make it cause everything else in the body to move in coordination with it. The first one is the qua, which we um, have already certainly talked about, and
Right.
and it's something that actually is very effective. It's amazing how effective that can be. But eventually, the spine or the lower dantian become the ones that we focus on more. But it is more difficult to use uh, each of these in a sequence. In other words, the easiest is the qua, the next is the spine, and the most difficult is the lower dantian.
The Dantian, I mean, throughout most of my practice with you has always been the focal point of our movement, moving from the Dantian.
It's a focal point, but um, we have not, I think, thought about it in terms of the lower dantian causing all the rest of the movement in the body. Have we? Have you thought of it that way?
Well, I mean, I've thought of moving the Dantian leads everything.
Uh
Is that what you mean, or is that a different concept?
huh. um,
Because
I
from the very
I
start, it was
I
always
believe I believe it's different.
okay.
Um, it is because it is the primary energetic center related to all the movement in the body. It we think of it in that sense that it is the center of everything that's happening.
Right.
But it is different for it to cause everything else to move than to simply be the center of the movement.
All right.
Um, this goes back in a way. I think I talked a little bit about recognizing the difference between simply feeling the energy movement and being able to directly connect to it and direct its movement.
Right.
So, in a way, that's the difference we're talking about here, too.
Okay.
Um, so, it's getting a little deeper into it, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is good. I mean, I'd rather have too much information than not enough. I'll retain what I can retain
Yep.
and use it. But so you said the three parts, and one of them being the spine. Are you referring to the central part of this of the C curve in the spine, like we were just talking about, or the entire spine?
Really, it's the movement of the entire spine.
Right. Because it does have to be all doing the same thing.
And the thing about that is that there are a lot of layers to that. The C curve is really the kind of an external, believe it or not,
Right.
um, because ultimately, when you get to the deeper internal levels of spinal awareness, you're talking about being able to get into the depth of the nerves in the spine.
Hmm.
But that's you don't need to focus on that one at this point.
Right.
Um, so the when when we think about the central channel in the body, we talk about the side channel and the central channel. Um, it not only has a pathway through the very center of the body, which would be in front of the spine, but it also has a pathway through the very center of the spine. Um, and this is kind of related to when we think about the central channel in the arms and the legs. It is really, the central channel is really inside the bone of the arms and the legs. It
Hmm.
goes through the center of the bone um, and through the nerves. Um, well, I think I'll leave it at that. Um, so when we get to a much deeper level of energetic practice, we're thinking about those movements at the very deepest levels
Right.
and feeling them and being able to direct the chi to go there.
Right.
So, anyway, um, so what I want to do, I think, is do the 8 gates, but not pulse, not movement pulse. Let me put it that way. So, in other words, we had developed a practice where we had learned to be able to use all these movements,
Right.
right? And recognize that they can help um, cause the energy to move. Um, really help us to feel the energy moving. Um, but what I'd like to do is to take this practice, go back a step, and take the pulsing out. And when you arrive here, simply allow yourself to lengthen out and to lengthen in, rather than trying to do the other movements with it.
Right. And
Okay.
that may help me get more comfortable and familiar with lengthening in rather than trying to do it in the form where every movement is different.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So let's do that.
Right.
So just let yourself settle for a moment and return as fully as you can to Wuji. No intention to move. And then beginning, stepping out, coming into center, and taking that time to be aware of your structure, all the way from releasing your feet and ankles, and hands and wrists, and crown of the head, those 5 points. And taking a moment to focus on sinking the chi. So letting the weight shift subtly towards the heel, twisting the whole body outwards, and allowing energy to drop through the body. drawing out what the body cannot use into the earth. Coming back to center and beginning to extend the mind through the body so that you begin to feel every part of your body inside. What's happening there? And then beginning to flow into the 8 gates. So twisting, bending, lengthening in. Twisting, bending, and lengthening out. And simply allowing yourself to then lengthen in and lengthen out. In and out. Endeavor to feel below the skin. Feel what's happening. Then go down to Kun, earth. And if you can, put the bend of the spine, the C-curve, into that combination. So bending the spine, lengthening in, straightening the spine, lengthening out. In, out. Then to Kan, water. Lengthening in, lengthening out. Feel your arms getting shorter all the way back to your spine. And then lengthening out from your spine. Then up, the heart. So feel that lengthening in. And that lengthening out. And lengthening in as you go into the transition, and lengthening out to the posture. And lengthening in, everything shortening. Lengthening out, everything getting longer. No matter how subtle those movements are. and up to Xiang, thunder. Release out, in, out, in, out. Bend the spine, straighten the spine. Release out, release in, release out and in. And closing. And it continues in, out, in, out. And just stand and feel your body. Keep your mind inside your body and just feel what has or has not happened. What change there may be. And then stepping in. So, more awareness of lengthening in.
Yes, more, especially because I wasn't focusing just on that. I was letting myself kind of realize that I was doing more than just lengthening,
Mm-hmm.
but,
Good.
but also because I do think, I don't know how close to doing it really well I was, but incorporating the C curve into it seemed to help also.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was more, it involved more, obviously more of my body than I had been in the lengthening and movement.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
Doing the curve was inherently drawing everything else in and lengthening in. And I found that it helped, even though I felt initially a little uncomfortable losing the back structure, which I know I really wasn't, but I felt like I was. It made me less conscious of maybe losing other structure in my arms in particular,
Hmm.
keeping more roundness to it than I had been when I was otherwise trying to get all of the lengthening in through the arms. Now I felt like I was getting a lot of it through my spine and other parts of the body, so I wasn't overdoing it in other areas.
Yep. Good.
So I became aware of it. Certainly, in not not equally in all of these 8 gates. Some were they all had varying degrees of this, but that's my overall feeling
Yeah.
from doing that the first time with the C curve.
Yeah. Um, of course, the C curve is also going through everything in the form.
Well, of course it is, and of course I have not been doing that at all. So it's good for us
just
to review it
just
now.
to
And
confuse things.
yeah,
I don't want you to get bored, Jeff.
I appreciate that. I'm very bored in life otherwise, so I appreciate all this extra stuff. You know me, I'm always, I like I just said earlier, I'd rather have more information than not enough, and I'll retain what I meant to retain now, and I'll pick the rest up later.
Yeah, absolutely. What I would certainly suggest about the C curve, since we really hadn't discussed it much before, is to really work on it in the 8 gates, and don't worry about it in the form for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
I'm still concerned about lengthening in the form, and when we started last week, we went. How far did we go?
Single whip.
Went
I
single
think
width. Was
I
that where
think I think that's as far as we went.
we went? We did down and under. We did this. We did. We went. I think we went through White Goose. Actually, now that I think about it, pretty sure.
Um, well, I
We can
didn't.
pick it up wherever you want.
Yeah,
'Cause I went back and looked at the video. I did the video like twice more. I followed that twice more during the
yeah.
weekend.
Okay. Um, thing that I think I didn't say about White Goose is that there is in the middle of it a very fast in. Um,
So we could back up a little bit. I'd be more than happy to go back to single width and start from there.
yeah.
Be good
Uh,
for me.
um, but in going into White Goose, spread its
Yeah,
wings, we're coming out of shoulder stroke.
right,
Um, that of course starts with lengthening in and then lengthening out,
right.
and then there is a very quick in and out as you go into on the first time.
Oh,
um, because I realized that I didn't say that.
right.
If we did that last time, I know I didn't say it. So
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not familiar with that. So yeah. Well, we can go back and start it from single width. That's good for me for sure.
yeah, yeah. So we should probably do that.
Yeah, because I'd like to see it again through the whole this and then through shoulder stroke and all that. I could definitely use more clarity on all that.
Yep. Um, good. Well, let me change the camera here. And I'm thinking that I'd like to do that part facing you so
Yeah.
you can see it a little more clearly. Obviously, as we've completed single whip, we've lengthened out, and then we begin lengthening in, and that lengthening in goes all the way through to the step back. But you're still at 100% on the forward foot. And then you're lengthening out as you pull down. And that's pretty easy to feel. One thing I just say, because I keep seeing people doing it, this does not go across the center line of the body. The hands are still in the center line of the body. And then you're lengthening in as you rotate. And at this point now you're 60% on the left foot. And then lengthening out as you embrace. And then lengthening in. And that goes, of course, all the way as you draw the leg in. And then when you step, that's the start of that transition. And you rotate and shift, lengthening out to shoulder. And then as you go into white goose, you're lengthening in and then out, out, in, out. So there is a difference between the deflection and the strike and the push downward. So you have a very quick in between the strike and the push downward.
Why is that? Why do we have the in there?
With on, you are always endeavoring to suck their energy in before you send them away.
Okay.
Because what that you're doing is actually trying to release their root.
Right. Yep. Okay.
So when you've gone to shoulder, you have lengthening in to about this point, and then lengthening out, in, out. And then, of course, as you do follow and focus, it's in, out. Question in there?
No. But a quick comment. When we went down this, where it is, brakes, forearm brakes, as we're going down, right here, I felt a much stronger connection than I have in the past between my hands and the earth because of the way that I'm lengthening now by releasing rather than forcing. I wanted to make that comment that I am feeling a difference.
Good.
I felt it particularly strong right there where I
Uh-huh.
had.
Good. Good. So having arrived there, Um, we're now going to lengthen in all the way back onto the left leg, and then lengthen out, coming on to the right, and in and out into a brush knee.
Oh,
I'm sorry?
oh, we're going from White Goose.
Yep,
Okay, that's I think that's Yang, isn't it?
it's what?
I think you did Yang.
Did I do Yang?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
good.
need to go to I forget what this is, but turn around and separate into getting ready to go into wave hands.
Oh, I'm doing the long form.
Okay, there you go. That's what I meant.
That's what it was. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Thank you. Thank you. Um, so I'll try to do the right thing here. So we're lengthening in, in, and then as you get ready to move into the right leg and up, you're going to lengthen out, 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 and then of course going into wave hands, you're lengthening in, out, 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 in, out. Single whip. A question in there?
I don't think so.
Did you say you don't think so?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back if I did. I don't think I did. I think I was on the same page as far as what I had been doing for
Okay.
lengthening out, just doing it better now because I'm releasing. But I think I was doing the ins and the outs of where I was supposed to.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
So then, of course, you have in, and actually that in continues through the step. And notice that my spine is bent, if you like. And then out, lengthening out into left hand. And then lengthening in and out No, that's not right. Out. Sorry. Wrong posture. High pat. Lengthening in. Out. In. Out. In. No, sorry. Out. In. Out. In. Out. So that's hard to get the ins after the kick and strike. But also we tend to lose the out as we go into um, subdued tiger. The in here is not so hard,
Right.
but then out and right back in, step out,
Yeah.
in, out, and back in again as you turn back to the other side. Then.
Right. Okay. Right. So, couple a question related to C curves.
Sure.
I'm not going to try to do a whole lot with it in the form. As you do each posture in the form, you are, I'm talking about you at your level, you are incorporating the C curve into each posture, right?
Yep.
And it looks like it's, now that I'm trying to be cognizant of it, it looks like it would be very subtle. It's not a big spinal move, it's a very small spinal move.
Yes, it is very small and
Almost
some.
imperceptible to somebody who's just watching.
Yep, almost. If
Uh,
you were here, you would probably be easier to see.
right.
But yes, it's very small. I mean, um, it shouldn't be huge anyway. I mean, we're not trying to
Right.
uh, change the curvature of the spine.
Yeah.
We're simply encouraging the flexibility of the spine, which encourages the flow of the energy through it.
Right. And in particular, I have a lot of spinal in my neck and in my lower back. The middle of my spine is good, but I wouldn't want to overdo it in any
Yeah,
way, shape, or form for that reason as well. Uh, but I, as we went through the eight gates, I was kind of playing with the amount of spine movement I was doing, and I started doing it pretty big, and then I kind of made it smaller and smaller and found there wasn't a whole lot of difference in my feeling of the energy from the smallest point I got to when I started in the bigger point.
right. Because we're not trying to force those spaces between the vertebrae. We're just trying to open them up naturally.
Yeah, that's what I've got to remember is that we are actually trying to open them up.
Yeah. And so, um, as you know, that those spaces are extremely small to begin with,
Yeah.
and so opening them up anymore is a tiny fraction, something that probably can't be seen but can be felt.
Mm, right.
So,
Right.
and it's important not to force that.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
we actually don't want to force anything.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
Um, why don't you flow just that far from the beginning, but talk the in and out as you go?
Talk in and out.
Yeah,
You say it. You mean?
yeah. Just say it so that I can see that you know what you're doing.
Okay. I'm not sure how well my mic will pick up my voice from over here. I will try it.
Yeah.
My air conditioner is on right here as well. That's why I'm trying to speak close up to the mic.
Oh.
Try.
Good old air conditioner.
In my back room here, I don't have central air. The rest of the house has central air. Back here, I've just got my little window one. This is my man cave, my office, my Tai Chi space, my dog's room. All that is back here. So,
It's everything. Do you have a room like that in the new house?
no, unfortunately, but I'm working to reconfigure how we're going to set things up there.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm not sure, but unfortunately, I don't because this has been ideal for me for all those reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
In, out, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, out, in, out, in, out, in, still, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, in, out, 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 in.
That was pretty good. Did any questions come up for you along the way?
No, just getting used to the new revamped White Goose, really. In my mind, I kind of stopped there because I was so focused on getting that extra out in there that I forgot to do follow and focus. But
Yeah, yeah,
that's just that. I think I'm okay with the rest.
yeah. Um, I think you understand what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and my words may have been a second off here or there,
Oh
but I
yeah,
think I knew you know, where I wanted to, what I was doing actually was not translating to words immediately. So
understandable.
I'm not used to talk, like unlike you, I'm not used to talking while I do it. So
Yeah, it took me quite a while
yeah,
to learn that. I still remember some of my very early classes when I um, think I may have been had moments when I was hopelessly confused.
I could see why.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the only place I really was going to say anything is to try to be a little more consistent about the changes from side to side in wave hands. Um, and also don't shift your weight when you're circling the ball to the right, don't shift the weight to the right. It does not shift.
Right. Okay.
The body turns moving the arms,
Right.
the weight does not shift.
Right. Okay.
Um, and so I think the big thing in that is finding how you get rid of any tendency to pause anywhere and keep the roundness of the movement of the ball.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's no, but it's that's good. And
Yeah. I definitely felt more choppy trying to incorporate verbalizing on that than I do when I'm
oh
doing it.
yeah,
Because I do try and focus on that point. I'm certainly not always getting it right, but I do try and keep the flow consistent and as rounded as I can, and elbows and all the little things that we're doing. But trying to
yeah.
vote, I let a lot of that go on that particular flow.
Oh no, I understand that, and that I wasn't um, particularly looking for all of that. I really
Right.
just wanted to make sure you were clear about.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. These are ongoing things that I know I need to
Yeah,
improve, and I want to improve.
you are.
Right.
um, so I think that's enough for today.
Another very good class. Appreciate it.
Um, keep you going, and
Yeah.
um, Bill's supposed to be. He may be back even. I think if I remember right, he got back very late last night,
Oh, okay.
and he just knew he wasn't going to be able to
Right.
get to class this morning, which is
You got a
understandable.
couple of good classes to get caught up on, right?
Yeah,
Beauty of video. So it's so good that we've got these videos now.
It's really great. Makes it so that if you do have to miss
Yeah.
class, you have some sort of reference. I mean, yeah, it's good.
And, and even if I don't miss class, there's certain flows and certain discussions and all that I make little notes of that I do go back and look at
Yeah.
in that particular snippet of time that I found particularly helpful, and I need to look at it again. So,
I have been terribly grateful for all the videos I have of Bruce. I wish
uh,
I I wish I had more of Master Joe.
uh, no,
I have a
it,
few of Master Joe, but he didn't do many.
no, I mean back then video wasn't nearly as big. That was pre-YouTube, really.
Yeah,
So that says it all right there.
and he was not big into being
Yeah,
recorded.
yeah, I remember that as well.
Yeah, he always emphasized that every time was different, and so no
Right.
no video was the right one to follow.
Oh, yeah, and that is certainly true, but it's better to have something of him than nothing. That's the sad part.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure,
it's
for
really
sure.
it's left so much of a legacy, but it's in time it's going to dissipate, and it would, the videos would certainly keep it more alive. I would love to watch him now if possible.
Oh yeah. It is. Speaking of fading, it in a way it probably is going to, because I think it very likely that um, the Master Joe Birthday Festival will die at this point,
Really.
um, which was what with Bruce Lakaruba was really keeping um, Master Joe alive with that.
What
But
happened to cause that to be so?
well, he died last year,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and so it wasn't held at his place last year, and the the person who uh, tried to keep it going had been his video and internet person, but she really kind of changed it into whatever Tai Chi. um, and there's those of us who really knew Master Joe really feel that is if it if it can't be something focused on Master Joe and his legacy, it shouldn't
Right.
exist.
Mm.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of where we are at the moment. I actually haven't heard anything for the last 4 or 5 weeks, so I'm not sure where we are. But
Does
I think
anybody have Jay or any of his other past senior students? Do they have some other videos of him that have not been shared?
I don't think so. I think the only person who I think has some video that, as far as I know, has not all been shared is Bob Klein. He's a teacher out on Long Island,
Right.
and one of the last um, Zhang Feng festivals, he did a lot of videotaping, and he videotaped Master Joe.
Right.
I know, um, and he did release some of that, and Master Joe. There is some of Master Joe in there, but I think there is more that I remember him taking that has not been.
Right.
But that's the only one that I know of that isn't. I have 2 or 3 short videos um, that I already have, but there isn't much. There isn't much.
No. Do you think it would make sense for you to reach out to somebody like Bob and say, hey, would you consider sharing them on? I've got the site, my own site on YouTube where I do all of my classes. Maybe we could have a section as a tribute to Master Joe. Would you consider sharing any videos you have?
we can talk to him and um, see
I mean,
see
it'd be
what.
a great thing to have them on your site,
Yeah.
really would.
Um,
It's an idea.
yep. We'll see what we can do.
Okay.
Well, have a good week.
Yes, thank you. You too.
Good.
See you next Tuesday.
Give Jesse a hug.
I will do that. They go back to Australia on the 29th, I think it is, for
Oh,
2 months.
for,
Just for Jesse's summer vacation, they're going to spend in Australia with Kate's family.
well, that's a good way of handling it, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely is. He's here throughout the school year. He and enjoying everything about it. All of us being together and going to school here and having me in his life every day. And then in the summer, when they've got some time, he can go and be with his grandparents and his cousins and his aunt and uncle and all that. So
Yeah.
it's, it's a good way of, it's a good rotation. And it keeps Kate in good touch with her family and with her roots, and it gets her over there, and it gives me a little bit of me time for a couple months too.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
all
Well,
right,
great.
thanks. See you next week. Take
Take
care.
care. Bye.
Bye.